Ladies and gentlemen, Merry Easter. I hope all of you are having a fantastic weekend filled with friends, family, eggs, chicken. No, not chicken. Bunnies, chocolate, maybe a bunch of food. I just hope all of you are having a great weekend. Is that all you got? Yeah, I didn't really plan more of an intro than that. Of course you didn't. Slick, you got anything you want to say?
Oh my god, I got Grimace?
What is it? What is it we do here again?
Gaming news?
News. Oh yeah, so much news. So like, first of all, Switch pre-orders. If you live in America or Canada, Switch pre-orders are indeed coming and basically nothing has happened with them.
Something happened with Sony though.
Yeah. And then Sony is screwing over Canada at the very least, and many other countries at that.
Oh, and then the Warzone thing.
Yeah, and then it appears as though Warzone may still be dying, even though the community and Verdansk has pulled together with a pretty good launch. Things are looking pretty dire, and we're going to talk about that and much more in this week's episode of the Weekly Reload. Welcome to this week's episode of the Weekly Reload, the weekly gaming news show that comes out every single Sunday. We talk about everything gaming, what new is coming out, new announcements, new releases, and of course, all of your favorite first-person shooters. Now, the first thing that I wanted to talk about today is the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, I'm going to avoid talking about tariffs in this one because we've actually talked about it over the past 2 weeks. But basically know this, if you live in America or you live in Canada, you are now going to be able to pre-order the Nintendo Switch 2 starting April 24th. And guess what? The prices did not change whatsoever. So I guess they just took their time and eventually decided, let's just do exactly what we were going to do before. Now, the other thing that happened this week is a Mario Kart World Direct. This was basically a 16-minute video going over everything we already knew about the game. I will say, though, the open world looks pretty cool. Playing with your friends and multiplayer looks pretty cool. But the one thing that happened, because this was a live stream, is that the entire chat, the entire time, was just simply saying, lower the price, lower the price, lower the price. Because if you didn't already know, the price of this game is $80 to $90, depending on what version you buy or where you live. It's expensive, and they're doing something that people didn't want to see, which is raise the price of video games. The only other time that the chat changed is when they were talking about the cows or the penguin getting knocked off the cliff. Aside from that, it was all about the price of the game. And basically, Nintendo has said nothing about it. Now, speaking of prices of things, holy crap, Sony. Now, in history, we are used to seeing over time the price of consoles go down. However, if you live in Europe, the PS5 Digital Edition has gone up 50 euros. If you live in the UK, it has gone up 40 pounds. If you live in Australia, it has gone up 70 Australian dollar dues. And if you live in New Zealand, it has gone up $60. So that's screwed some people over to begin with. But if you live in Canada, you're not just going to get screwed over on the price of the console. So in Canada, all of the PlayStation Plus memberships prices have been increased, with the base being 109 Canadian dollars, the middle one, the essential membership, being 189 Canadian dollars, and finally the extra being $225 a year. That is absolutely insanity if you ask me. I remember this used to be like $60 back in the day. What are we doing? Well, I tell you what we are doing. It appears as though everyone is going for a portable console. Xbox recently leaked that they are working on one in conjunction with Steam, and now we are also seeing that PlayStation 6 release timeline is rumored to also include a portable console, with the main console likely launching shortly before the portable one does, and this is rumored as early as 2027, whereas the Xbox stuff, we're kind of looking at 2026 based off of leaks. Moving from some sad stuff to some amazing stuff, if you didn't hear this week, we had a short come out, which, by the way, if you're not already, make sure you follow us on all of the social medias, Instagram, TikTok, they're all down in the description if you want to check them out. But speaking of which, the news that came out this week that we covered in a short is the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remaster. It is coming, and it is coming soon. Now, we don't have an exact day, and essentially this leaked on the developer's website a bunch of different screenshots of what the remaster is actually going to look like. The rumor is that it's going to be coming out this coming up week, like literally in a few days, potentially even tomorrow. So like that's the current rumor, is on the 21st. So it is looking absolutely incredible, way better than I originally thought, and actually kind of looking more like a remake than a remastered. We haven't heard anything yet as to what the gameplay is going to look like, what is going to change leveling gameplay wise at all. We just know that it's looking absolutely incredible. While we're talking about Xbox, the Game Pass games for this month are looking very, very interesting. First of all, we have Expedition 33, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but we also have Modern Warfare 2, the most recent Modern Warfare 2 from 2022. Now, this is interesting because originally when Xbox bought Activision, it was rumored that they were doing it to bring all of the old Call of Duty games, like the old Modern Warfare 2 and the old Modern Warfare 3, to Xbox Game Pass. But really, we've only got the recent games so far on Game Pass whatsoever. So I don't know, as I've been talking about in the previous weeks, there's been rumors that the original Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 might be actually getting remasters, and maybe that's why they haven't come to Xbox yet. Also, one more game on that, Dredge. If you've never checked out Dredge, it's on that Game Pass. It's a really, really good game. It's just an indie game, a lot of fun, simple to sit down and play. Check that one out too. Now, while we're talking about Call of Duty, let's go into what happened in Call of Duty this week. So first things first, we got the Black Ops Tribute event. Now, this Black Ops Tribute event really has nothing to do with the previous Black Ops games whatsoever. Simply what it is go in, get a bunch of XP, complete the event, and you can get a new operator, you can get the nail gun. That is pretty much it. I'm going to be clear, I'm really not a fan of these XP events. I tweeted out something about this week that got a lot of traction. Just really not a fan. To me, this is not an event. This is just you level up, you get XP, they give you stuff. An event is something like the Return to Verdansk, where we get safes, or where you play the game in a brand new way. This is just play the game and get XP. That's what we do anyway. And for those of you who are going to say, why are we complaining about free content? The reason why we're complaining about free content is it's not free. Most of the people who play this game have bought it. Unless you're just a Warzone player, you're good. But guess what? If you're a Warzone player, you don't get the content in this event. So yeah, that's my issue with it. Now, speaking of issues, the one thing that came out this week is someone by the name of Ted Timmons has left Raven. If you don't know who Ted Timmons is, he was the creative director at Raven Software. He was essentially the person in charge of Raven Software after the Caldera originally released, and then after Warzone 2.0 got removed. So basically, he was tasked in the two situations where Warzone had completely fallen apart and he needed to piece things back together. He launched over 500 quality of life updates, which is absolutely insane. And this brings us into the tinfoil hat moment of the week. It wasn't here last week, but that's because the hat needed to go in the shop. This is the tinfoil hat 2.0, and this is what you're getting this week. So the rumor is that he has been removed from Raven Software because, like we heard from leaks before the launch of Verdansk, if Verdansk didn't do well, Warzone was going to completely get removed. Verdansk gets released, and then all of a sudden Ted Timmons is gone, leaving everyone to think that this means Warzone is disappearing altogether. Now, to add to this, they did an interview with IGN this week, and they basically stated that Verdansk is at least going to be in the game until the end of the year. After that, they seemingly have no plans. In other words, is that when the death of Warzone happens? Which is sad. And I also think very not true. Based off of some other tweets that he has put out, it looks as though he might actually be going to Nintendo. In one of the tweets, he shows an image of the Call of Duty stuff coming off of his shelf and a bunch of Nintendo stuff going on his shelf. And then in another tweet, he showed a picture of basically him laying in a bunch of Nintendo memorabilia, therefore making me think he's going to Nintendo and he probably got a bag. So does this mean the end of Warzone? Potentially, it could, because even if that's not why he left, losing someone like that was responsible for 500 quality of life updates, there's got to be a kick in the nards to basically everyone working at Raven. Now, while we're talking about first-person shooters, we also have to talk about Battlefield, because Battlefield got another community update this week, specifically talking about destruction. And essentially, it appears as though they're going to be using a similar model to what the finals used. Now, when you destroy a building or destroy a wall, the rubble will stay there, and you'll actually be able to use it as a ramp or ways to get in and out of various areas. The rubble will also damage enemies or damage you if you're inside it, and it's going to be a little bit different different than what we've seen in previous Battlefield games. Speaking of different games, if you are a fan of Star Wars, there is another game coming out by the name of Star Wars Zero Company. Now, this is taking a bunch of developers from the Civilization series, as well as a bunch of developers from XCOM, putting them together on one team and creating a Star Wars turn-based strategy game. Now, I don't know how this one's going to play, and it's definitely still in early development, but it's certainly looking interesting. Now, something that is not in early development, Skull and Bones. I cannot believe that we are talking about Skull and Bones at this day and age. But yeah, Slick, roll the trailer. So no, you're not seeing that wrong. They've got all improved gameplay, a Kraken in the game, and yes, you can now land on shore and actually fight people as a pirate. You are no longer just a boat, you are now also a pirate, which leads to the question, why didn't they just do this to begin with? They had already done it in Assassin's Creed Black Flag years and years earlier, but here we are, and I'm not gonna lie, it actually looks pretty good. But the thing is it too little too late? Let's be honest, most likely. But hey, if you've played it out, let me know what you're thinking of it down in the comments, because yeah, it's out and has started already. Now, moving off of video games into shows, The Last of Us 2 Season 2 launched on the 13th with the first episode, the next episode coming out today, and then every Sunday after that. What's interesting here is reviewers have this at a super high score on Rotten Tomatoes, like up in the 90s, whereas users watching the show have this in like the 50s. I think that's probably because of casting decisions, but this is kind of same kind of thing that we saw with season 1. I personally really enjoyed it, but I'm curious, have you guys watched it yet? What are your takes on it? And speaking of surprises, we got a shadow drop this week that wasn't Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. This is called RuneScape Dragon Wilds. Now, this is a survival RuneScape essentially, and it oddly seems to work. It is not what you are used to with RuneScape, more akin to Valheim in the RuneScape universe. And personally, I have not played it yet. Reviews are not out for it. I've seen some people talk about it and they seem to really be enjoying it. The longevity of this game is the thing that I'm going to find very, very interesting. But if you are a RuneScape fan, hadn't played it in years, personally, I think I played it back in middle school. If you haven't played it in years, maybe this is something you're willing to check out. Speaking of things to check out, this week coming on the 24th, we have Expedition 33. This is a new game coming to Game Pass day one, and as far as this one goes, it is kind of like a JRPG turn-based game, and honestly, I am shocked I'm saying this. This one looks really, really good to me. It's one I'm going to be checking out, putting some hours into, and I'll probably have a review on Ink TV shortly after the game comes out. The other thing that comes out this week, the controversial thing, the Marathon closed beta. Now, if you've gone into their Discord and applied to be in the beta, that's all you can do as of right now. I think they're going to be rolling out more and more beta codes throughout the weeks, because it actually goes for a couple weeks. But needless to say, the community response to this game, I don't think is what Bungie expected. A bunch of people not wanting Bungie to be working on an extraction shooter whatsoever, more wanting a PvE kind of thing, a lot of people not liking the art style, while others are absolutely loving it. So let me know what you're thinking down in the comments. But that has been all for this week of the Weekly Reload. I really appreciate the support on this channel lately, guys. I can't believe we launched this thing. It's going as it is. So if you want to support the channel, share this show with your friends, hit the like button, subscribe, turn notifications on, because guess what? We've got another episode coming next Sunday. I'm probably not going to be wearing the ears though.